So, I will be talking about the North Atlantic Council. The North Atlantic Council is one of the most important organs in the NATO organization. So, in order to fully understand the extent of this council, we need to start with the origins of the North Atlantic Treaty Organizations. It was, as you know, it was founded on the 4th of April in 1949, and that is the date when the Washington Treaty was signed, and that is also the date when the North Atlantic Treaty was founded. Because the North Atlantic Treaty states on Article 9 that, I quote, "The parties hereby establish a council on which each of them shall be represented to consider matters concerning the implementation of this treaty. The council shall be so organized as to be able to meet promptly at any time. The council shall set up such subsidiary bodies as may be necessary. In particular, it shall be established immediately a defense committee which shall recommend measures for the implementations of Article 3 and 5." So you see, it is still one of the most important organs, and it is mandated since the beginning to create subsidiary bodies and subsidiary organs that are relevant to the organization in order to help them to ensure the security of all member states. So, besides the Defense Planning Committee, the DPC, the Nuclear Regulatory Committee, the NRC, the NAC, North Atlantic Council, is the most important organ in the organization. It is also higher ranked than the military committee, which is the highest military organ in the organization. So you can see that its political relevance exceeds just the simple political management side of the organization, but they have also operational and strategic powers. It is, as I said, one of the permanent organs of the organization, and all member states are represented in this council. So that means that there are permanent embassies all around Brussels with permanent ambassadors who are sitting in on those meetings. It is also a decision making, as I said, decision making organ, both politically and military. It has competence over all activities of the organization. Um, so it has a very important role in political representation because they touch on all aspects of the organization, be it really the organizational part about the finances, where they have to appoint the chief financial officers, be it on the political side, on the political side where they have to facilitate consultations because different parties want to be involved and are concerned about their national securities, or simply be it on allowing military operations. So, for example, we have witnessed lately the Libyan intervention. So that was something that was highly discussed and debated about in the North Atlantic Council. Um, to come again to the consultations, those are very important because they allow member states to understand the positions of their neighbors, of their allies, and they also allow to because since the ambassadors are appointed by the national governments, they can discuss security matters very quickly, because the meetings of the North Atlantic Council are weekly to bi-weekly, but I'll come to that in a few moments. Um, it has also a very important. The North Atlantic Council also has a very important role of external representation because they are in charge of all the press releases that represent the not only the opinion of all the member states, but also in the military alliance in itself. Um, so their competence, their field of competence, not sometimes exceeds the Euro-Atlantic region. Why is that? It's because they need to be able to tackle international situations, international conflicts before they can impact the Euro-Atlantic region. That is why, again, we have seen the NATO being represented in Afghanistan, being in Libya, etc., because they feared the impact that it would have on their member states. The North Atlantic Council also is responsible of the crisis management of the organization because they are one of the organs that meet the most and who has the capacity to take decisions very quickly. And now I will get to how they work because, as I said before, they're meeting on a weekly to bi-weekly meetings on a to like bi-weekly basis. So they sometimes meet for more informal lunch meetings, and every week they meet for meetings where they discuss very important topics that can be submitted by the different member states or also by the Secretary General. Then there are biannual meetings where the ministers of foreign affairs of the member states sit in and discuss those very topics. And sometimes we can also see that there are summits happening where head of states actually participate in the discussions, and those either way, the decision-making powers of those who represent the country in the North Atlantic Council never changes. So even if it is a head of state or if it's an ambassador taking a decision within the North Atlantic Council, it has the same power and the same impact on the decision. As I said before, the Secretary General can raise questions, but it's also the Secretary General who facilitates the discussion within the group. He can also sometimes be helped out by the honorary president, who is usually the eldest member of the ambassadors who are sitting in on those North Atlantic Council meetings. The organization works. The committee also works with various number of subcommittees and organs that they created. So they created quite a lot of organs, different committees throughout the year, throughout their existence. I mean, pardon. Such as the Parliamentary Assembly. They also rely a lot on a subcommittee that is called SPC, so the Superior Political Committee, which is in charge of preparing most of the meetings, preparing most of the press releases, and helping the ambassadors to come to a quick decision when they are on meetings. The decision-making progress is very interesting because it has to be on a consensual basis. So there are no votes. There are a lot of debates, but no votes on this council, meaning that basically every member has a veto right. Why is that? It is because they the consensus gives a lot of more weight to the decisions and to the releases and comments that are coming from the North Atlantic Council. It also means that the alliance is speaking as one. So therefore, all the members have a technically have a veto right, and most of the times, due through the consultations and to the very frequent meetings, they can come to a consensus. There's also the point where they can decide and realize that they won't agree on a topic, and still then that there's a consensus that they won't agree on that topic. Um, as I said, another responsibility of the council is the financial control. because the North Atlantic Council is also in charge of taking care of the more organizational part of NATO. Um, but what is to be underlined and very important for the North Atlantic Council is that each state is responsible for its own actions, and for its own decisions, meaning that ambassadors represent the opinion of their national governments. That also means that since every member has a technical veto power, if a decision is taken by the North Atlantic Council, it also means that it engages the responsibility of the one state who tacitly approved a decision. Um, yes, so now I'd like to move on and state some of the most recent decisions that have been taken within this council. So we have, for example, the Rome Declaration in 1991, where the council agreed that they needed to improve the collaboration with other European organizations such as the OSCE, the um, and where they agreed and restructured the security architecture after the implosion of the Soviet Union. Then in 1994, they have decided on the P4P, so the Program for Peace, that are mainly discussed in another subcommittee, in another committee, pardon, where it was decided in Brussels in 1994 that P4P would be expanded to countries that are not members, but that are still longing for peace, and that the NATO should support them and also help them in order to stabilize the region. Then we have the Istanbul Declaration. We have decisions where, for example, on the 9/11, it was the North Atlantic Council who actually decided to employ the Article Number 5, and where the collective security was called out by the North Atlantic Council. They are also the ones who were very concerned about the situation in Syria, and who also discussed whether or not it was a violation of Article Number 5 when the Syrian missiles crossed the border and had some casualties in Turkey, where there is a press release regards that, where they strongly condemn the actions of the Syrians, but they chose not to intervene, knowing the the repercussions that an intervention would have. So I would say that this is mostly about my committee. And if you have any questions, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.